The moment is here, you can stop your search. It's Comics by Perch.
Hey everybody, this is Perch. Let's get right to it. This is we're talking about ad blockers. It's a comic channel. We're talking about ad blockers. But let's do it anyway. It says, Sir Perchington of Perch Card. Okay. I hope life finds you well, and allow me to add my hope that you will continue the channel at whatever frequency works for your life, as long as you enjoy. Got a question I've been setting on, and not try to troll, but as a 50-plus white male, I am generally the worst. Yeah, it's a shame. You know, you just get to that age and you become the worst. It is absolutely true. All right. Many weeks ago, someone on Twitter, you know, that thing we had before X. Well, okay. So Elon has introduced X as slowly phasing out the Twitter bird and everything. And people are like, oh my God, the iconic Twitter bird. What are we going to do? It's been a fixture in American life for as long as I can remember. Oh, what? I'm sorry, but this is a relatively new brand. I appreciate all of you people who are, turning 20 or right around there. And to you, Twitter has been the staple of your life. But it's a brand fixture. What are you talking about? Anyway, Elon changing the name of Twitter is okay. Whatever. I mean, what's funny about all this is it's probably neither here nor there. Meaning people are going to not, suddenly be like, I used to know what Twitter was, but now I can't find it anymore. It's changed. I can't find it. That's not going to happen. Everybody is going to know where it went. It's all going to direct to the same place. People are still using Facebook, even though it has become Meta, these things happen. Now going through all the trouble of changing the brand, why? I mean, maybe it fits into a different kind of portfolio strategy that Elon has. I have no idea. X.com certainly is less characters than Twitter.com, if anyone still cares about that in 2023. But the whole thing is just bizarre. I also enjoy watching people on Twitter go, as a brand and marketing expert, this is the dumbest move in the history of all. It's like, okay, I'm sorry, but I love how Twitter does bring out the experts. It is amazing, particularly in finance. We're not going to go down that track again, but people who throw out their financial advice or worse. Look, I got a couple emails on this. I'm not going to go. I was talking to a friend on this. I'm not going to go into deep details on it, but a no-fire contract as the reason why Kathleen Kennedy is still employed. That is absurd. Absurd. I'm sorry. You can have contracts where there is a severance or a built-in kind of penalty, or there is there's a million areas where you can handle kind of somebody getting financially compensated if they're fired, or you can have a gag order which says if you're fired, nobody talks about it. There's lots of different things, but a contract that says you cannot. There's just no way you can be fired. That's not a thing. It wouldn't hold up in court. Companies could easily. You can't put employment right there. It's literally in the law. You cannot have a hard nor fire contract. You could absolutely have a contract that says that if somebody is terminated, you owe them like $1 bazillion. Even that can be litigated if it's considered too high of a number, an unreasonable number. Even if people signed it. I love how some people say, well, if 2 people signed it, then anything can go. That's not the way the law works. That's why there's contract law. That's why there's entire, you can't just sign something and it's forever etched in stone. This is not the stone of Excalibur. It doesn't work that way. But no, if there is not a no fire clause in a contract, please stop it. Stop. You're grown adults. Please stop. Anyway, back to the mail. Maybe weeks ago, someone on Twitter, X, was saying ad blockers are theft. You and most responses said, nope. I at first agreed. Then I made the mistake of reading the thread. That is always a mistake. The original tweeter said that someone made content and that the ad was how they're being compensated. The comparison to pirating a comic or movie was brought up. Again, content that was made in hopes of content compensation is being denied. The cost is the ad, is the time. Wait, the cost is the ad, is our time, not our money. What do you think of this compensation? As you get older, begun to embrace a Luddite mentality. Okay, so yeah, there's a thread. Somebody said, if you use ad blockers, you are stealing. And I said, no. And there's a variety, but I'll give you like a couple different reasons why that's a bit of an absurd argument. First off, if you're putting up your product and you're relying on a business model you don't control, this is probably the most kind of clear reason behind that, then you're at the mercy of how that kind of business model is implemented. So unlike if you have a comic, it's meant to be sold in a store. Somebody buys that comic, they scan it, they put it online, or they get the digital version and take the art from it and put it online. That is theft, because the business model was intended for you to buy something. The mechanism for which you buy it is still intact, meaning you put money down. The people who are scanning this stuff on pirate sites, somebody is paying for it. The original person who is getting the content is paying for it. There's a possibility the person who's getting the original content in order to put up the scan is somehow like hacked into the Marvel servers and getting the content for free. That's possible, in which case that's even clearer form of theft. But anyway, somebody paid for it and then is redistributing it for free. And that goes against the terms of the comic. Again, my goal here is not to wag my finger at you, whether you do your life, you decide what you want to do. The difference to an ad blocker is somebody is putting up content. They are intending to get paid through ads, through a browser, but the browser itself has plugins and components that block those ads, that in fact intercept that model. In which case, the person who is responsible to either, accept or deny this subversion of the model is the browser maker. In this case, is Google or Safari or Firefox, whatever you happen to be using, Edge. That's who are responsible, but none of the browser companies are doing this. In fact, some of the browser companies are actively encouraging ad blockers. Apple is doing more and more to try and intercept, so you don't have to see ads, so private data. Keep in mind, a lot of the ad data and the revenue is also generated by kind of tracking personal details and personal information of when you clicked on the page, what you did there. So, that's personal data likely to be litigated in state courts, and in Europe already has. That is also part of that business model. Just because you signed up for a business model doesn't mean that business model is going to be maintained. So, no, it's not theft. Nobody is intercepting your content in an illegal way. They're using technology enabled and supported by the platform you picked in order to distribute your content and make your money. So again, that's a very different thing. Now, I think you could make the argument certainly that, hey, we put up articles and we put up content and we put it up and we need to support ourselves and we need to feed ourselves. So we want to put it behind a paywall. And if somebody then got paid for it, got the password and then redistributed that content, that absolutely would be theft. But ad blockers are not. If you are putting up content, you're expecting to get paid through it. I think that, putting all of your effort into the hands of a third party, like say a Google, who, supports, enables, and activates the mechanism for which to not see those ads. What are you going to do? I think that you could say that, hey, somebody who reads, loves, and enjoys your content, and you have a way of getting paid, but people don't pay you. Maybe it's legal, but people just don't pay it. I mean, maybe there's an argument to be made that the person is should chip in or should tip you or something else, but that's more of a moral issue than a theft issue. So that's kind of one reason. I think there's a lot of them. Look, I think I've seen this before of people who put stuff up onto Instagram and then they believe they're owed something from that. I mean, again, there's lots of different mechanisms and methods that we could talk about, but no, it's not theft. Or at least it's not theft. Hard stop. And then but if you're trying to compare that to people pirating comics, it's just they're completely different worlds. And again, it's all about kind of the mechanism in which you sold the comic or sold your content. I think that I don't know. There's this interesting thing going on right now where the ad market has fallen in a lot of cases. Things are not as high as they were several years ago. And so there's this a little bit of a frustration of, well, I was making good money and now I'm not making that money. Well, this is a misunderstanding of how kind of finances work. Look, you could be making money at something cheerfully. And, we were taught, I guess, as kids that your salary is always going to go up. Every year you're going to get a raise. Every year you're going to be higher than last year. And, there is inflation, but your salary will also go up. The money you make will always go up. That's just not the case. Anyone will tell you that's not how it always works. Sometimes, and good for you if it does, and that is the kind of the traditional sense, but particularly with new technologies, ad revenue, app sales, all this kind of stuff like that, influencer money, the first movers tend to have an advantage. They get paid. They get, a lot of attention, subs, whatever it happens to be. But people who join in afterward, it's just like, you got a pool and you got one person in the pool, lots of room to swim. 50 people get in the pool, it gets crowded. 500 people get in the room. There's less room to swim. So you have a lot of businesses, particularly tech businesses, where money goes down, and that has been a struggle for a lot of people to understand. Like, well, I was making $500 a month, now I'm making $100 a month. It's like, yeah, the market got saturated, and the novelty of it went down, and some of the money that was being shoved into advertising, people realized that was a waste, and it went down. It's how it goes. Anyway, interesting debate. I think that somebody could certainly kind of angrily debate this one. And you're welcome to. But it's not that. I'm sorry. It's just there's lots of reasons here, but it's not that. Anyway, thank you very much for the mail. Really appreciate it, and thanks for listening.